On Thursday, June 4th, the competent authority, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Dr. Hubert Minnis, acting on the advice of the Ministry of Education, announced that the BJC and BGC exams will be held beginning July 13 this year. The ministry undertook the decision to conduct these exams after it was announced by the CA, the competent authority, that Phase 3 had commenced and that educational operation could be conducted once protocols are assured by the CA that once all health protocols are observed. It had always been the intention of the ministry to conduct external exams if conditions permitted. This is why it was repeatedly stated that the exams were postponed, not cancelled. The ministry stated from the very beginning of the national lockdown, and students were advised that the lockdown didn't mean a vacation from school. Public service announcements and other media announcements made this plain and clear. The decision to hold the exam was not an easy one. We realize, as does every citizen of the Bahamas, that these are unprecedented times, as has been often stated. There is and has been a lot of anxiety, disruption, stress, and other disturbing variances introduced into the psyche of the Bahamian student and his family by the virus that has shut down the entire globe. Despite a virtual school that has seen registration reach over 48,000 students and an average of 20,000 engaged daily, there are still many students who did not or do not have a device or an internet or both, and would necessarily have been deprived of the benefit of continuing school. We understand that and made every effort to accommodate them. That is why, since March 17th, the virtual school has been operational. And since April 11th, the Ministry of Education contracted with Cable Bahamas to broadcast educational materials for grades 9 and 12 students preparing for the BJC and BGCSE exams, respectively. At the end of the day, the ministry's guiding principle is what is in the best interest of the student, especially students in grade 12 and 9 at this time. There were several factors that contributed to our final decision, but let's do a quick background review. As was stated, from the very date that schools suspended face-to-face instructions, I as minister and we as a ministry impressed upon our students that this is not a vacation. You are still in school, we told them, and that you must continue your schoolwork. This again was communicated across all media platforms. Additionally, we also directed them to register on the ministry's virtual school platform so that they could participate in recorded or live lessons as they wished. As of last week, Thursday, 48,591 students were registered on the virtual school. 40,246 were public school students. This is out of a public school student population of just north of 46,000, representing an 86% participation. The remaining 8,000 plus were private and home school students. Of that number, some 20,000 on an average accessed the virtual school daily to participate in either recorded or live sessions, or both. This does not include the many thousands of students who were registered on independent platforms by public and private school teachers. So virtual learning, the virtual learning platform, filled in admirably the unfortunate deficit the educational system suffered as a result of the coronavirus situation across the globe and in this country. As you would know, there are 66,000 pre-primary, primary, and secondary school students in this country. If 48,000 plus were registered on that school platform, virtual school, and many thousands on an independent platform, then the educational system has done quite an admirable job in ensuring that the Bahamian students continue to receive vital instructions in their educational pursuit. And while it does not replace face-to-face instructions, in this situation, it is hard to argue that it wasn't or isn't a very acceptable alternative. In our discussion with stakeholders, we all agreed that June 12th would be the drop-dead date for a final decision in respect of national exams. Fortunately, we did not have to wait that long because the competent authority announced last week that Phase 3 had begun. The factors to be considered and were considered are the following. Number one, the BGCSE exams are voluntary. No one is compelled to take these exams. There are, however, a number of grade 12 students who await the chance to obtain their graduation diploma by making up the missing exams in the BJC that they need. In the BGCSE, those exams the results of those exams are ordinarily used by international universities and even ours here in the Bahamas, the University of the Bahamas, to determine eligibility. And even though the University of the Bahamas is permitting students to enter this year on the basis of their last 3 years of high school, they still must pass a placement exam to gain entrance. Number two, there are many students that if they do not take the exams this year, will never take them. Also, there are some schools where students only take the national exams in grade 12. So if they miss it this year, it is unlikely that they would return next year to take them. Number three, a majority of Bahamian students who leave grade 12 do not go on to college or a tertiary institution. They go out immediately to work. For them, the credentials of an external exam is vital for them to enter the workforce. In fact, 5 or 10 years from now, no one will care or remember that we had COVID-19 in 2019. The question will be, how will these students at that time stack up against their competitors? Number four, students' last day of face-to-face instruction was March 13, 2020. The oral comprehension, which is usually the first exam, would have started in April. This means that students would have lost only a few weeks of review time because during this time, March 13th, to the oral comprehension, no new information is taught. This is the time generally for review. Number five, for those students who do not feel prepared, the Ministry of Education will be providing opportunities for a refresher courses, which the ministry will bring through either face-to-face or the virtual school, and or both. Students can avail themselves of any or all of it. If they don't have internet or device, they will be permitted, once arrangements are secured, to use devices in computer labs at their various schools or any other schools. They will be required to call the schools, make an appointment, and place their names down, and they are free to use them. At the end of the day, it is the Ministry of Education's social, intellectual, and legal responsibility to make provisions for the students of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to access national exams if they so choose. As we repeated earlier, our commitment and guiding principle is what is in the best interest of the Bahamian student. And in that regard, we have made such a decision. Thank you.